Tucker just did a New York Times interview talking about why he opposed the Iran war. And people are like, Tucker, why did you change? Why did you switch up on us? Or weren't you our friend? And Tucker has always been a paleo conservative. He's always been against the wars. Trump himself, when he ran in the Republican primary, he said that he was against the Iraq war and he criticized people for having fought it. And he was very criticized at the time by the neocons and by Bush and then by everybody else. Jeb Bush was one of his main opponents, and I mean, he really got him nailed on the Iraq War topic. And but then he abandoned that, and Iraq and Iran were twin wars. They're very similar wars, one to the other. And his criticism of Iraq signaled to people like Tucker that he was going to stay out of this intense extent of foreign interventions. Tucker hardly criticized him for Venezuela. He thought it was fine. Tucker has said that he's against Venezuelan Cuba invasions, but he said, well, they don't threaten the United States to that extent. You can do it. You can do those invasions. I'm not in favor of them, but if you do them, they're not going to run the risk of wrecking the United States. But famously, he has said that, well, the Iran war could because you're taking out 20% of the global oil supply, and that could create many enemies for you. Many people are going to be mad at you. You're going to destabilize one of the main regions ever. You may lose control of Asia and the Middle East, which is in Asia. And I don't know how that's going to get settled, but Saudi Arabia, Iran, all these countries, they are Asian countries. They're Persian Asian countries. And I think that this has been fascinating. And a lot of people have said, well, he hasn't switched up. He was always paleoconservative. As Trump kind of betrayed it, it kind of went against his proposal to criticize the Iraq war and the Middle East interventionism. Trump himself said that those interventions cost about $9 trillion or $10 trillion all put together, which is a great contributor to the US debt. Trump said it himself in several interviews and rallies, and I think even an interview with Tucker a good while back before he was running for president, around the second time before he was actually elected. But then he absolutely forgot about that and he said, well, let's go into Iran. It's a perfect idea. Let's forget that I spoke badly about Iraq. So a lot of people have been switching sides. A lot of people, right? His switching of sides is probably a response to the switching of sides of others. So it isn't quite a switch from him. If the other person switched and then you switch, you may just come back to the original place. And who changed was the other person, not you. If you break up with someone, if your partner changes immensely, and then you switch up on them or change on them and say, I don't agree with you, they're going to say, well, you changed because you used to agree with me. Yeah, back when you supported what I like. So if your partner says, well, I believe in sleeping 8 hours a day and being physically fit, then you say, I agree with you, I love you. And then your partner says, no, I actually believe in smoking Marlboros, staying up to 2 a.m., and not sleeping, not exercising. And you're like, I don't agree with you. And then your partner says, oh, but then you switched because you used to agree with me. And you're like, yeah, I agree with you, and you agree with me when you agree with me. As you change your position, I simply kept my position. So I didn't change. My disagreement with you came from me staying fixed, staying in the same position as you switched yours. And now you're trying to gaslight me into telling me that I switched mine and that your position was always against 8 hours of sleep and physical exercise when it wasn't. I remember a time when it wasn't. I remember when you said right the opposite. You're trying to gaslight me. So I think that's a lot of what's going on. People switch their positions, and then when you just keep your original position, but then disagree with them on that basis, they say, "Oh, you're disagreeing with me because you switched your position. I stayed the same, but actually they were the ones that changed." And I think this is an essential part of human relationships. Gaslighting is, it absolutely is, and we can see a good example of it now, as we have seen so many before. And the Wayback Machine of the internet allows us to check the records and realize that who actually switched up, and I would recommend all of us do. But I think this has been fascinating, fascinating debacle, fascinating tug of war and struggle and tug between the two, you know. And let's see who manages to pull the rope into their side to win the game of tugging. And We must see, we must see. But I really think it's a fascinating topic. I really like to cover it. I hope that you enjoyed my overview of it. I don't know who you got in this. Maybe no side, right? A lot of leftists I've seen they say, "Let them fight, let them fight, let the girls fight." I don't care. I'm just gonna be here over here my side. The Democratic Party has a lower approval than the Republican Party by now, and I think has been because they largely, I mean, I've seen people say that it is because they ignore the desires of the voters, and maybe that's about right, but I'm not fully sure. And I'd like to hear your comments, your opinions down below. And if you enjoyed my overview and you'd like me to make more videos like this covering these topics and kind of breaking it down to you in the best way I can, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. And I'll be sure to see you next time. Take it easy, peace, and have a blessed and great day.